Hi fellas. When I was a boy, probably about 12, 14 years of age, my father, who was a bit of a World War II hero, to be honest, well, he was a World War II hero, and a very, very clever man. I mean, he was classed as a technical artificer and a staff sergeant in the army, British Army, and which basically meant he could instruct anybody in the safety and the operation of anything, and he could fix anything. That's basically what the qualification meant. And he was honoured in dispatches. Mentioned in dispatches twice. I think that was at Monte Cassino in Italy. One of the older generation, past and gone now, sadly. But you can imagine when I was 12, 14, he started telling me about the history he'd learnt about from reading parts of Winston Churchill's books, the Quran. Around about this period in the 30s, Winston Churchill's great writings, well acknowledged writings, were actually featured in the Times and other newspapers, the Guardian, because they were that quite controversial even then. And he'd become respected as an author, an orator, even then. Yes, he told me how the whole Middle East for 550 years was Christian. Yep, you'd be shocked at this. Obviously, a few Jews were around and atheists. We had Israel here, if you imagine this being the Mediterranean, southeast Mediterranean. We've got Israel here, a few Jews, very low percentage, about 10% Jews in 1910. And obviously, but in Saudi Arabia, there was a big clutch of tribes who couldn't read or write, illiterate tribes. And so this is where Muhammad came from. My father warned me how these Mohammedans, as they used to be called in Churchill's day, did methodically, strategically, and deliberately, gradually invade and conquer all these Christian communities. Thousands of them. In Syria alone, there's hundreds and hundreds, or 700 plus abandoned old Christian settlements. If you put in Google 700 dead cities, put in Google images, and you will see several articles, even on Facebook, where it shows you these quite grand, like 4th and 5th century buildings, proper little cathedrals, churches, stone-built buildings that still survive today, in 2020. They were very clever people. They were industrious. They were faithful to Christianity. They were, in their own communities, loving. They looked after one another. They absolutely flourished, especially in Syria, but all across the north, um, southern Mediterranean. Well, what happens when you flourish and you start to look wealthy, and you start to have beautiful buildings and adornments and nice churches to your God? What happens is people get jealous. Just like today when you buy a new car, or a smart car, say a smart Subaru like I used to have, or whatever you like, a smart Mustang. Inevitably, people feel they've been dispossessed, but haven't passed a driving test. They will try and they'll try and steal it or damage it, even worse. Well, so it was in the Middle East, way back in 610 AD onwards. After that, this illiterate Muhammad actually invented Islam, as we now call it, but it wasn't like religious doctrine at all. It was a war doctrine, a Nazi doctrine, how they intended to take over the whole world. And this is jihad today. All the faithful, all those Muslim people must try and further jihad in their lifetime. And obviously, into jihad comes this grooming epidemic that we've had for decades in the UK. I saw it going on 20 years ago, and they were Turkish guys just around the corner from where I am now, literally, 1,000 metres from where I'm sat. They were grooming these silly young girls who believed they loved them and believed, oh, you would be my girlfriend, I will look after you. And so it was, night after night, to get them upstairs, give them vodka, drugs probably, and even young virgins, fell foul of it. I offered to be a witness to one of them who'd obviously been attacked, to two of them actually, who had obviously been attacked, but gave them my name, and I said I'd witness it. I heard you coming out of the shop, which was next door but one. You always used to hear the door slamming, like when they'd finished with their meat. Yeah, so, but basically, what my dad warned me about Islam always being barbaric, slave dealing. Now, this is what it was about, basically, taking people's kids, taking people's women especially, and selling them as human meat, just as ISIS did. But why do you think ISIS take all these sex slaves and stolen every, even young girls, from every village they've took, whatever, whether they're Jewish, whether they're Christian, you know, whether they were Shia Muslim, didn't matter. They're entitled to take their little bodies, their poor innocent little bodies, and sell them to old perverts, just like the Prophet Muhammad did. So when Tommy Robinson starts telling you all this stuff about like, for instance, Muhammad's second massacre at Ka'bah, where he beheaded, tortured with fire, and beheaded the village leader, the Jewish village leader, and raped his wife, his young 17-year-old wife, Sophia. He's not lying. It's all well read. It's all the stuff that my dad told me about way back in the 1970s. So I thought I'd better get it out. I've had a bit of a pause in my video making due to, you know, problems with some groomers who were ringing my house every night, ringing my partner, and subsequently it's ended up splitting up the family. But I do hope to remain faithful to the Crusader cause, and maybe I'll meet Tommy and Jayda again someday. Okay, see you guys. Bye-bye.